Bases dropped in the afternoon. Sorry it's as late as it was. You kind of see, for those of you who are watching what's going on right now, this is kind of what I was wearing just because it was cold where I was. And you'll see it for those of you who will be in the building on Sunday night. You'll see why the afternoon power hour is at 1:45 and not a morning show. John, hear you there. Thanks for hanging out. We're kind of go over the news of the morning, stuff that we missed. There's been some sackings overseas, getting you ready for Champions League, all that kind of stuff. What to watch, where to watch it, gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Tonight, remember. Tonight, 5:30 and 7:30 at Brookwood Community Stadium. It is the Tuesday night throwdown on SDH, brought to us by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Kaiser Permanente for all that is you. Brookwood and Parkview tonight, and 5:30 and 7:30, and I will be there, and Jason will be there. And remember, Jason has Atlanta Soccer tonight after the matches, and he will break down everything that's going on in the world of soccer involving Atlanta United. Yorgos Giacomakis named to his national team for an upcoming Euro competition. So very, very cool there. Been a pretty busy week when it comes to accolades for Gigi, understandably so, considering everything that happened when we were all last together at Mercedes-Benz on Saturday. So, man, everything just runs together. All right, so Champions League today, just so you know, and I guess what we can do is what to watch and where to watch it and kind of invert the show a little bit. Champions League is at 4 o'clock Eastern. And so 4 o'clock Eastern is, I guess, what you can kind of watch before you get to listening to the activity that we've got here on the network at 5:30. And then we'll rock and roll from there. So you've got, we mentioned Champions League at 4 o'clock. Libertadores is on BN at 8:30. And for those of you that do not have BN, afternoon, Alex. Thanks for hanging out. For those of you that do not have BN, you can pick it up, and you can get it on Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps out the show, helps out them, and it helps you out with all of the other leagues that you get the chance to watch. So Libertadores on BN and BN in Espanol, you get BN, you get Teisei, you get For the Fans, you get CDO, you get Gold TV, you get Libertadores, you get Liga 1 Max. It's all there in one place, that Fanatis. Tonight, it is also CONCACAF Champions Cup, the Hemispheric Extravaganza triple header second legs. It is Crew and Dynamo at 6 at lower.com. At 8, it is Pachuca and Philly. And it is Tigres and Orlando City. That one is at 10:30 tonight. Galavision has the simulcast of Arsenal and Porto at 4. Tuna NA has Barcelona and Napoli at 4. And Tigres and Orlando City in the simulcast. Barcelona Napoli's on Univision at 4 o'clock. On the Plus, you've got DFB Pokal at 3:30, League One at 4 o'clock involving Bolton and Oxford United. Paramount Plus at 3 o'clock, you have Asian Champions League. You have Copa de la Liga at 8:15. You've got both matches in Champions League. Same with VIX at 4 o'clock. Juice boxes for those. Arsenal at home, a -400, taking on Porto. Porto's north of 1,100 to win. Barcelona, a -127 at home against Napoli. And the draw is a +305, and Napoli is a +330. So that's what to watch, where to watch it, and the big stuff going on this afternoon in Champions League. So what did we miss? We got the announce crews for all of the matchups coming up this week. And so Atlanta United on Sunday night ends up with Jake and TT all over again. And tomorrow, once again, you got Miami and Nashville. You got the second leg, and you had that rotation from the side that got to have the shootout with Montreal on the weekend. Thursday is Alajuelense down 4, hosting New England, Monterrey, and Cincinnati. That one's at 10:15 on Thursday. Before Saturday rolls around, and we're back at it again. Remember, Atlanta United is Sunday. And that one is 7:10 start. and it's Jake and TT. But they did announce your match day assignments for the upcoming week. And Tom, yes, so we want Crew, Union, and Orlando to go through in those. And you want Orlando tonight to go about 100. Yeah, you want Orlando to go for a very long time tonight. Match day assignments. It is Montreal and Chicago. It's Callum and Kalen, and these are 2 o'clockers. Jake and Taylor start their weekend in D.C. and then fly down to Atlanta, Inter Miami, and D.C. United. 3:30, Max and Dunny are in Seattle for Colorado and Seattle. 7:30s, you've got Tony Husband, Ross Smith in Columbus for Columbus and Red Bulls. Chris Whittingham, Lori Lindsay, NYC hosting Toronto. 8:30, Rogo and Heath Pierce in Austin for Austin and Philadelphia. It is Mark Followill, Warren Barton. Followill gets a home game. It's Dallas and Vancouver. Nate McCady, Devin Kerr, 8:30 in Houston for Portland and Houston. Neil Sika, Lloyd Sam in Kansas City for San Jose and Kansas City. Tyler Terrence, Kendra St. Aubin. Kendra gets a home match, and it is LAFC and the Loons. Eric Krakauer, Jalil Baba. Jalil gets a bit of a home game because it's Charlotte and Nashville. And at 10:30, it is the one late game. Keith and Mo get LAG hosting all caps. Sunday at 3 o'clock, it is Kanji Man and Danny Higginbotham. They get the Revs hosting FC Cincinnati. And Jake and TT Sunday night at 7 hosting Atlanta. They're calling Atlanta and the Purple Team. So that's your assignments. What I've started doing, I've started watching Kevin in 360. No lie. I'm watching all of that and seeing where it goes. Ropes, it was time. Considering where I'm standing a lot these days, to be in a wind tunnel, you need a haircut. So it was time to get a haircut. Trust me, definitely time to get a haircut. Alex, glad that the league has a Sunday evening match. Great slot. Just wish it. Alex just wishes it wasn't Atlanta United. So, Warren Barton getting reps with Apple TV. And Newcastle FC legend. Copyright, Warren Barton. Yes, please respecting the full name. There you go. So that's where we are with the rundowns of folks and everything. News today, there have been a lot of sackings. Overseas. And it was interesting to see a lot of the activity that is happening. You got a lot of folks that are impatient. And you ended up with Rafa Benitez getting sacked at Celta de Vigo. And they are really hurting. They are, I think, 17th. I think they're 2 points away from the relegation zone currently. But Rafa Benitez sacked by Celta de Vigo. And Celta de Vigo came out with a statement. It was 3 paragraphs. And they got rid of Rafa and his assistants. 2 points above the drop zone, 17th in La Liga. So Rafa Benitez got sacked this morning. And Maurizio Sarri resigned as Lazio manager. Stepped down Tuesday, a day after the defeat at home to Udinese, according to Sky Italia. Been in charge of Lazio for 3 years, had a contract until the end of next year. Sky Italia reporting Lazio has not yet formally accepted his resignation. Earlier on Tuesday, training postponed, and team president Claudio Lotito will meet with Sarri later on. Sky Italia reporting that Miroslav Klose would accept a contract until June, while Lazio could look at Tommaso Rocci and Christian Brochi to replace Sarri. Lazio beat Bayern in the first leg of Champions League round of 16 last month, lost 3-0 and eliminated. Also lost 3-0 to Inter Milan in the semis of the Super Cup back in January. Tom, news for you. James Vaughn appointed Everton's head of academy recruitment and player pathways, he is beginning his work immediately, if not sooner. And there were a couple of sentences that were put out for that. So you've got somebody new in your front office. Jurgen Klopp has reportedly recommended Liverpool sign Ryan Aït-Nouri from Wolves, also on the radar for Manchester United. Team Talk claimed the outgoing Anfield boss is an admirer of the Algerian and that he can give a competition to Andy Robertson. Former Roma sporting director Thiago Pinto says he's interested in succeeding Dan Ashworth, who's heading to Newcastle. Eddie Howe is going to start next season as Newcastle's manager, regardless of whether the team qualifies for Europe or not, according to the Daily Telegraph. Since the start of November, only Brentford have lost more Premier League away matches than Newcastle, 8-7. And the Magpies have shipped the most goals on the road during this period, 24 in 9 matches. Club are expected to carry out a major overhaul of the first team squad in the summer. Howe's the man they want to oversee that next phase under the Saudi Arabian owners. Juve and Napoli are among a host of clubs interested in signing Lewis Ferguson from Bologna in the summer. And Lewis Ferguson had a great interview. For those of you that might have missed it, great interview that he did to a podcast where he broke down his time at Aberdeen under Stephen Glass. That would be your listening pleasure. Your mandatory suggested listening is the Lewis Ferguson interview, where he broke down everything in a podcast discussing his time at Aberdeen, when he wanted to go to Watford, and all these other kinds of things. And Stephen Glass, he could not have spoken highly of Glassy and what was going on with Lewis Ferguson there. And so that's your required requested listening of the day. Required requested listening. Joao Cancelo confirmed he hopes to see his loan move from Manchester City to Barca become permanent in the summer. Found himself out of favor with Pep last season before sealing the switch to Barca in September following an initial loan spell to Bayern Munich. And so keep an eye on Joao Cancelo. Liverpool have reached an agreement for Michael Edwards to lead the restructuring of them. Richard Hughes joining as sporting director. And Edwards given a prominent position within Fenway Sports Group, which could see him lead football ops as the Premier League side among external tasks. So keep an eye on Michael Edwards, and it looks like he's bringing Richard Hughes with him. Ropes, couldn't have happened to a better manager. Rafa out. Tom, since the league is basically admitting that the entire PSR structure is flawed and are redoing it with new rules starting next season, yeah, that came out yesterday. Doesn't that mean that any punishments issued under the current law should be erased, right? Only makes sense, which means it won't happen. Because, and this will be your grounds for appeal, that you would the new rules apply during your current PSR investigation. So what I would anticipate happening is that both Everton and Forest will be found something. Then in turn, you'll get your points deductions, then you appeal. This will be the grounds for appeal right here. This will be the grounds for appeal, that the old rules do not apply since the new rules are being ushered in. But what the Premier League will do is they will say, no, you're operating under the old rules until the new rules kick in. The new rules have a start date. They have not started immediately. I can see the next couple of steps here. So, yes, Tom, that would be your grounds for appeal or for wiping this off the books, what have you. But what I would say is, once again, this is me thinking both sides here. Taking your argument and applying it to what is going on. For me, that means that, yes, that will be your grounds for appeal. What the Premier League in turn will say is, well, no, you're operating the investigation happened under this set of rules, not under the next set of rules. If you were to violate the rules next year, then something would happen. But you violated the rules under the old structure. So whatever happens will happen with you, with Everton, yes, Ropes, and Tom, and with any Forest fans that are out there, like our friend Poppy Miller. So whatever happens is going to happen. You're going to appeal. And that's what the Premier League is going to come back with in return. So I would continue to suggest that you win as many games as possible between now and the end of the season. I think you got 10 matches left. Win as many of them as possible to avoid any kind of a point deduction that could impact you and the relegation zone. Forest might be an entirely different matter. They might be in trouble, and they might be team number 3. So, and that's what I think is going to go down. Tom says, get what you're saying. Problem is, you're not just changing the rules to make some adjustment. You're admitting the old rules are flawed. So how can you punish anybody under the old rules? The old rules still exist. Like I said, I'm just taking this for the sake of argument. What I am doing is I am sitting across the table from you, taking the role of the Premier League. Yes, what you and Ropes are saying makes plenty of sense, which means it's probably the furthest point that they're going to be looking at this entire time. That's just how it's going to be. I am playing the advocate of the devil here. With your points that you bring forward involving PSR, I will come back with what I think, if I'm thinking like the Premier League, what their retort will be under appeal. So be prepared for anything. Have your defenses ready. Whatever happens, like I said, I think the biggest cure for Everton is winning matches. And this is why I think more than anything it will affect Forest more than it would affect you. Because Forest is right there at the edge of the drop zone. I think that Forest will be affected. Forest may end up being the third team to go down because of this. And that means Luton stays up. That means Brentford stays up. That means Palace stays up. You guys stay up. But I think that as you have pieced things together, you meaning Everton, that I think that the more you win, the more points you put between yourself and the drop zone, the better off you're going to be. Because then if they come up with some kind of a 10-point deduction and you're 11 points north of the drop zone, then you'll be fine. Your revenue piece will be smaller, but you would still be up in the Premier League. Forest, however, might be a different example. And Nuno Espirito Santo, by the way, has started busting out the conspiracy theories. And it's not the first time that he's done that, but, and it won't be the last either, but Nuno has started busting out all of the conspiracy theories about, well, why us, all this kind of stuff. Speaking of the Premier League and revenue, REV''NUE. You know how they're supposed to come up with this new deal to help out the teams in the EFL? Supposed to be a plan that was going to be around 900 million pounds. The funding agreement was supposed to help Football League clubs, first proposed 2 years ago. They postponed it yet again. And what is it we say when more than one reporter is involved? It's a big story. Tom Morgan, John Percy, Telegraph. Premier League under pressure after failing to deliver on the $900 million support system. And the clubs are instead of prioritizing reform to their own spending rules, Tom, which is what you were getting into. Government's new regulator, 2-hour meeting of the top-tier clubs, failed to secure backing for the new deal, which was first raised 2 years ago. One source with close knowledge of the situation in government told the Telegraph, absolutely shambolic, given they briefed over the weekend that it would definitely go to a vote. They've been quietly confident it would pass for the last 10 days, and now the new spending model could be finalized by June. Where have we heard that before? EFL clubs also dismayed a broad agreement reached on February 29th to present a deal by March 11 failed to materialize. Executives added the government could have been more effective in attempts to block the deadlock. Current PSR, which is what, Tom, you were talking about, being phased out in favor of a system broadly aligned with squad costs. Now, this is what Tom was talking about more in depth. Premier League is understood to have been advised PSR reform is a priority as the situation is complicated by a member club believed to be Manchester City, threatening a separate legal challenge over a tightening of the rules on associated party transactions. That's like the multi-club model. And trying to sit there and say that value was appropriate when you're sliding players from one club to another within your own grouping. Discussions taking place behind the scenes for some time. And now some clubs want a significant relaxation of those rules compared to the current system. Premier League under major pressure for ministers to get this new deal done in capital N, capital D, after the new regulator announced in the King's speech. Some clubs in the Football League came out publicly very quickly. One senior source said he can't wholly blame clubs for wanting to overhaul PSR, but added, shouldn't someone have thought of that a while ago? Several insiders concede the meeting may be the last opportunity to agree to a package worth more than that 900 million pounds before the regulators instituted. EFL clubs tell a government the new deal is in jeopardy. And what we have been talking about for a long time is clubs that are in serious trouble. And one of them is Reading. And Reading is to the point, and once again, it's something that we have talked about, where Reading now is to the point where they are probably going to sell their training ground. They're thinking of selling the training ground to try to make ends meet. And that's really not something that Jess or any of the Sell Before We Die folks, DAI, really wanted to hear. But that news came out a little bit ago. It came out, I think it was 2 days ago, where it looks like, because Dai Yong is in no condition to want to invest at all in this club, that it looks like they might have to put the training ground up for sale. And obviously, they were criticized for bringing up bids for Bearwood Park. In a statement, the Chinese owner said he was evaluating every option to secure funding until a new ownership was confirmed. He confirmed he was open to the sale of Bearwood Park should an appropriate offer be received. Club previously said the owner was keen to sell it, had been contacted by 7 or 8 bidders. And then it mentions the protests and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, and shocking no one, obviously, Reading, the supporters group criticized the club for having offers even put out there on the training ground. BBC Sport understands there is a club cash shortfall of about £1 billion for this month. And the protest group also says it could heavily impact their hunt to find a new owner because, if you're putting your training ground up for sale, why would you, and you sell your training ground, why would somebody want to buy a club that does not have its own training ground anymore? Hey, but you could lease it back. Reading have had 3 points deductions this season, a total of 16 docked across 3 campaigns. Lost 2-1 to Wickham on the weekend. 18th in the division, 2 wins in their last 5 points above the relegation zone. So, Reading is in a serious bit of trouble once again this week. So, we've got that going on. Other stuff that we got into. And once again, tomorrow it'll be Tyler Pilgrim from Scarves and Spikes. He'll be on after opening kickoff at 9:15, and it will be Dylan Butler. He'll be coming on at 10 o'clock, busiest man in the Northeast when it comes to everything going on in Major League Soccer. We'll talk about all of that tomorrow. Martinelli and Ederson are out of the Brazil squad because of injuries. You saw the injury. For those of you that watched Manchester City and Liverpool, you saw the injury that Ederson got for the tackle that a lot of folks thought maybe should have been a penalty call and was not. So Ederson is now out for about a month. Anthony Gordon's knee injury, according to Eddie Howe, does not look good. He says he's in quite a bit of pain after being substituted off in the defeat at Chelsea. Made his way in the first half after suffering recurring knee pain. Insists wasn't down to one moment, but an issue the winger felt early on in the match. Dan Burns' injury, Howe said he hadn't spoken to. Dan came straight here, but I think he's okay. I hope so. So you've got all of that to pay attention to. So injuries for Alex. I know Alex can probably just plug his ears. Griezmann's back for Atletico's Champions League clash, according to Diego Simeone. There's Manchester United and Real Betis are going to play a preseason friendly in San Diego at Snapdragon and hoping to get 35,000. United were based in San Diego for a lot of their U.S. tour last year. Ten Hag's training sessions held at USD, and the team will be based in L.A., play Arsenal at SoFi. After Betis, they'll take on Liverpool in Columbia, South Carolina, August 3rd. And it's anticipated that United's going to announce more preseason matches in Europe. It appears also, speaking of international competitions, that it looks like that UEFA plans on having a really wild tennis knockout kind of a thing when it comes to the new competition. UEFA discussed what MLS Next Pro does. Pick your opponent. General Secretary Theodore Theodoridis said he liked the idea. Colleagues and clubs weren't keen on it. 36 clubs in the Champions League next year. Single division in the first round. 8 matches, 8 different opponents. From next season, the club's 8 opponents will be drawn 2 apiece from each of the 4 pots of 9 clubs, ranked by coefficient. Top 8 finishers, and this is where your head hurts. Top 8 finishers go straight to the next round, while those in the positions 9 to 24 will play off to join them. Round of 16 will be seeded, keeping the top 8 apart. Although Theodoridis and UEFA had brainstormed another option basically loosed on American sport, asked whether it had been an option to incentivize teams to keep competing to finish as high as possible in the 36-team division. They said it had come up in talks. So the Swiss model would take 3 or 4 hours and feature 900 drawing balls, according to Deputy General Secretary Giorgio Marchetti. Draw will be done by a software program designed for the task with some manual input, audited by an independent third party. New Champions League with the same format adopted in Europa and Europa Conference is UEFA's idea to keep clubs happy and increase TV revenue in the aftermath of the Super League discussion back in 21. UEFA is really putting a lot of hope on it. UEFA long tried to build consensus. Real Madrid and Barcelona remain the only 2 rebels for the Super League. So they and advisors A22 proposed scrapping the 3 competitions, dropping UEFA, launching their own 3-tiered system with promotion and relegation. So you have that to look forward to when it comes to the new competition in UEFA that almost had what MLS Next Pro does. So very, very interesting situation there. We mentioned Eric Ten Hag. It apparently would cost it would cost Manchester United, according to Paul Hurst at the Times, £10 million to sack him. But getting into Champions League might be the savior here. Got to keep an eye on FFP, looking at the restructuring of the club, what Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to do with his hires and his releases and his redundancies, self-thought or otherwise. So you have Eric Ten Hag, you've got Ineos, you have representatives discussing things back and forth. Omar Barada is going to become the new chief exec next summer. Dan Ashworth targeted for the football role, even though Newcastle's got him on gardening leave. Jason Wilcox, John Murtaugh, all these folks. They all kind of know across the board Ten Hag will be on shaky ground if they don't qualify for Champions League. But it would cost them $10 million to sack him. And that figure would go onto this year's accounts if they sacked him before June 30. The contract expires at the end of the year. Ten Hag said in January that they were close to the limit of spending that was allowed under PSR. That meant he wasn't allowed to sign the striker he wanted. So you have Manchester United staring at that. But if they want to restructure, it might take you $10 million to get rid of Eric Ten Hag. And I don't think that's $10 million that you think you want to spend. So you got that to look forward to if you're Drew Dickinson and anybody else that is attached to Manchester United. Tennis-style seating in the knockout stage. Martin Ziegler on the story as well. Top two teams kept apart until the final. UEFA has ruled out playing the final outside of Europe, staging Champions League matches at weekends, other than the final, or allowing clubs from countries outside of Europe, such as Saudi Arabia, to take part. Then you had all of the folks making all of their great comments across the board. Champions League expands from 32 to 36. England gets their 4 automatic entrants, could get 1 or 2 extra slots each year, calculated on clubs' performances in Europe the previous year. Germany and Italy narrowly ahead of England so far in the race for 1 of those extra slots, but the outcome could be decided by the Champions League final. Champions League, Europa League winners will also qualify for the following season's Champions League. So in the unlikely event that they finish outside domestic qualification spots, it could be as many as 7 English teams in the competition, 11 in Europe total, 2 each in Europa, 2 each in conference. Clubs cannot play each other from the same country in the league phase. 3 points awarded for a win, 1 for a draw. Goal difference, the next decisive factor for separate teams who finish level on points. Top 8 clubs in the league go through automatically to the round of 16. Other 8 clubs decided by places 9 to 16, playing off over 2 legs, 17 to 24. Tennis-style draw, so each club can see their potential route to the final. The team who finished at the top of the league will be top seeds on one side of the draw, pitted against a playoff winner, with the second-place team on the other side of the draw, and so on. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, 6 p.m. UK, or 8 p.m. at UK, 8 p.m. UK. So it's 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock Eastern time, or 2 and 4, depending on the time of year. UEFA accepts there'll be more clashes with domestic competitions like the Gummy Bear Cup in England. Amazon's going to get first pick of matches over in England to show live Tuesday. BT gets all the other highlights. BBC gets highlights for the first time on Wednesday night. And UEFA has asked to reserve Croke Park in Dublin as a spillover venue for fans to watch the Europa League final if they can't get tickets to Aviva at 52,000. And there was other news out of Italy that I wanted to get into here. Agence France Presse, less than an hour ago. Italy's finance police raided the headquarters of AC Milan as part of an investigation into the sale of them to Redbird. Milan confirmed the raids reported by ANSA and AGI and said the club itself was not being investigated, but the current CEO, Giorgio Furlani, and his predecessor, Ivan Gazidis, were. Club added the pair were being probed for incorrect communication to supervisory bodies and that Milan were cooperating fully with the investigative authorities. AGI reported Furlani and Gazidis were being looked at for obstructing Italian football's supervisory commission. Redbird acquired Milan for $1.2 billion, told at the time. Elliott having financial issues in the form of a vendor loan to Redbird to help finance the acquisition. Elliott acquired Milan in 2018 when Lee Yong-hong was unable to repay a loan he took out from Berlusconi's Fininvest in 2017. So $1.2 billion. Police raid over AC Milan and grabbing the sale as they had the chance to, and they finally did. All the other stuff that we have going on. Once again, we got into, the gossip, rumor, innuendo, all those kinds of things. And as we stare at what's going on, once again, Drew mentioned it on Monday. Manchester United made Everton's Jared Branthwaite their main summer transfer target. Once again, it's from the Star. It's not quite the 4-letter paper, but it's a 4-letter paper. Michael Olise also high on United's summer wish list. They're going to push ahead with a bid for Branthwaite, valued at $75 million by Everton, regardless of Ten Hag's future. Everton also keen on Hull City's defender Jacob Greaves, who's expected to move to the Prem this summer if the Championship club misses out on promotion. Manchester City looking into Bruno Guimaraes. Alex, cover your ears. £100 million release clause in his contract. Arsenal planning a move for Villa's keeper, Daphne van Domselaar, in the summer, cooling their interest in England and Manchester United number 1 Mary Earps in women's soccer. Spurs have joined Manchester City, Liverpool, Newcastle, and Arsenal in hoping to sign Pedro Neto from Wolves this summer. Jurgen Klopp recommended Ryan Aït-Nouri. We talked about that one. Also, it talked about Jadon Sancho. No desire to return to Manchester United after the loan spell to Dortmund. Blames Erik ten Hag for letting his career stall. Also, Dortmund are keen to keep him, could explore a swap deal, which would see Donyell Malen go to Old Trafford. Roma's Thiago Pinto, who worked with Jose Mourinho, says he's interested in succeeding Dan Ashworth at Newcastle. Chelsea, among the clubs monitoring FC Nordsjælland's Ivorian midfielder Mario Dorgales. Spurs ready to let Joe Rodon make a permanent move to Leeds in the summer. Bayern Munich of Alfred Alphonso Davies a new contract worth 11 to 13 million euro a year, but he wants up to 20. We'll see if that happens. 11 to 13, no 20. That makes plenty of sense. So you've got that information out there as well. There were some other stories that I had circled, and it was where was that other story that yeah. Nuno asks, does someone want Nottingham Forest to go down? Nuno's just digging a deeper hole. He's going to continue digging the deeper hole every single week. So Nuno questions whether there's a conspiracy to relegate Forest. Not the first time he's said it. A week on from Paul Tierney, Sunday said it was referee Michael Salisbury who chose to only show a yellow to Brighton's Jakob Moder for the contact with Nico Williams. VAR Craig Pawson chose not to invite Salisbury to look at the incident again on the pitch side monitor. Nuno told the BBC, "What's going on? Someone wants to put us down." After that interview, he had his post-match presser. "It's a clear red card, a bad mistake. Having an extra player makes a difference. We were on top in the game, and it's a bad decision of VAR. I don't judge only the referee. It's week after week. They apologize to us, and it doesn't mean anything. Everyone's aware of the mistakes, and I'm trying to be honest and keep myself calm and respectful, but it's enough. Please, someone tell me what's going on. Why is it always us? You should see the leg of Nico Williams. We don't bullish." And that's not the word that he used. "It's a red card. It's so obvious, and you know what's going to happen. In 2 days, they're going to apologize." Morgan Gibbs-White, along those same lines. He was pretty hot about it. Understood Forest have already submitted 4 letters of complaint to the PGMOL this season. 2 decisions made by VAR Rob Jones in the loss to Manchester United before the sending off of Danilo, and then again at the hands of Jones, who took charge in the 3-2 loss against Bournemouth. In January, you'll remember Ivan Toney moving the ball. Then Tierney's drop ball blunder where Liverpool ended up getting the 1-0 win. So suffice to say that Nuno's pretty hot about it. And then you had John McGinn's ugly challenge. You had that going on with you. And then saw this from John Hazelwood at the Telegraph. Sonny Singh Gill, the first British South Asian to referee a Premier League match, was slammed by Mike Dean for appearing to sign autographs at halftime. This is from, once again, our friends at the Telegraph and John Hazelwood. Hazelwood writes, the part-time prison officer was spotted at Selhurst Park signing autograph books presented by Crystal Palace supporters. Mike Dean said on Sky that Gill was bang out of order, in quote. 7th referee outside of the select group to take charge of a Premier League match this season. Sonny's father remains the first and only English football league football referee to wear a turban. Took charge of 150 matches between 2004 and 2010. Brother was the first Sikh Punjabi to serve as an AR, and he did that last season. Despite Sonny's indiscretion in the article, that was their words that were written. Both managers effusive in their praise after a draw that did neither side much good. Rob Edwards had nice things to say, and so did Oliver Glasner. But, Mike Dean was not happy about Mr. Gill signing autographs. So we'll see what we'll see if anything continues to come out of that. I would hope not. And I mean, I could see frankly waiting until after the match is over, something like that, and then then giving the autographs, that kind of a thing. But no, the end game, I see where Mike Dean is coming from, but along those same lines, Mike Dean should probably calm down a little bit too. Did you see this? This might have been opening kickoff material, frankly. But this comes from our friends at the Times, I think. Wait, sorry. This is Guardian. From Reuters. Cameroon's Wilfred Nathan Douala was among 62 players suspended for an alleged identity fraud. Cameroon have suspended a player they took to AFCON for allegedly falsifying his name and date of birth. Nathan Douala was among 62 players suspended, most for over administrative irregularities, mostly double identity and age cheating. Considerable surprise before the AFCON final. Cameroon went out in the second round. Rigoberto Song picked Douala from the second division, and he had no previous international experience. Also, a lot of comments on social media whether or not Douala really was a teenager. Investigation by Le Monde claimed Douala had previously played in the Cameroonian League using a different name and was over 21. Le Monde said it asked the Cameroonian Federation to explain the irregularity before they set off for the Ivory Coast, but the Cameroonian over the organization that they didn't comment. Douala did not play at AFCON, registered squad member. AFCON's been contacted. They've yet to comment. Tournament regs say that if a fraud or a forgery had been committed, the National Association concerned suspended from participation in the following two editions of AFCON. For any administrative error in the registration, the National Association concerned will be suspended from participation in the next edition. So it might be either one or two. For allegedly falsifying birth dates, records, those kinds of things. So Cameroon having to deal with 62, 62, one more than 61, more than 50. 62 possible violations when it comes to identity, misidentification, those kinds of things. So very, 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 very interesting there as well. As a part of the storylines that are all a part of what's going on. Once again, reminder tonight, 5:30 and 7:30. It is Jason and myself out at Brookwood. Big night for the Brookwood community as they're going to retire Walker Zimmerman's jersey tonight. His family will be there. Walker's kind of busy at the moment, but his family's going to be there. They're going to retire the jersey. It'll be a fun night at Brookwood Community Stadium, and I'll be there, and Jason will be there. I think I'm calling the girls' match, and Jason's calling the boys' match, and we will get that squared away. 5:30 and 7:30 on the network, and the live is soccerdownhere.mixler.com, soccerdownhere.mixler.com for Brookwood and Parkview, the Battle of Five Forks Trickham. That one is later today across the network. And thanks for hanging out with us. To let you know what the rest of the schedule is this week, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Kaiser Permanente, for all that is you. Tomorrow, it's Wheeler and Riverwood. Doubleheader at Wheeler and Riverwood. Maddie and I will be there for that one. Good to get our friends from Riverwood on the schedule. And also Friday, it will be Griffin and Perry down in Perry. Big region matchup in Middle Georgia. Can't wait to add the Perry Panthers as one of our home sites this season. And it'll be Griffin and Perry, big region matchup. And Coach Dooley at Perry just won his Nathan Perry won his 200th recently. So big news there. But Perry, another big up-and-coming program out of Middle Georgia. Big region matchup, doubleheader, 5:30 and 7:30. Tomorrow is 6 and 8, by the way. 6 and 8 for Wheeler and Riverwood on the network. That's soccerdownhere.mixler.com, 5:30, 7:30 for Griffin and Perry on the network. Saturday is the season opener for Atlanta United 2. And then Sunday night, it is Atlanta United and Orlando City. So it's a very, very busy weekend on a bunch of different fronts for us here at SDH. So we're all over the place. I guess I should do opening kickoff and kind of invert things a little bit since I forgot to do it. That's opening. This is for opening kickoff. That's brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching on in any one of three ways. You are either watching on our Twitch stream, either on YouTube or on the 280 character app, and have it being rolled over that way. So thanks for accessing us however you are doing so. And it'll be great to catch up with everybody. But once again, that's your QR code for Kickoff Coffee. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and at kickoffcoffeeco.com. I guess for the sake of news, can let you know about the teams of the week in USL League One, presented by our friends at Konami eFootball. It is Rick Wright for the win in his opener for Greenville Triumph. By the way, Maddie's catching up with Darren Sawatsky of the Richmond Kickers later this afternoon. That'll be up on the network, and we'll be able to catch up with him after match week number 1. In goal, Amal Knight from Lex SC. Backline of Ashkanov Apollon from Central Valley. Got his first match-winning goal of the Jermaine Jones era. His Apollon's first goal since April of 22, by the way. Jorge Corrales from Lex SC. Lucky Opara from Hailstorm. Nate Schultz from Greenville Triumph. Midfield, Mo Espinoza from Central Valley. Evan Lee from Greenville. Liam McKinnon from Greenville Triumph. Zion Scarlett from Greenville Triumph. Up top, it is Leo Castro from Greenville and Josh Dolling from Spokane Velocity. Your bench, Carlos Avilas from Central Valley, Bruno Rendon from Northern Colorado, Clayton Torr from Central Valley, Jack Denton from Spokane, Pierre Reedy from Spokane, Yannick Yankum from Lex SC, and Gabriel Rodriguez from Tormenta. Championship team of the week. It is Trevor Ammon for Sacramento Republic, getting the first one of the year. Team of the week, it is Van Oakland from Birmingham. Your back line of 3, Nicholas Cardona from the Miami FC, Lucas Stauffer from El Paso Locomotive, Yunus Budati from Indy 11. Midfield 4, Jorge Hernandez from San Antonio FC, Florian Velo of Loudoun United, Jack Blake of Indy 11, and Irakoze Doniciano from Oakland Roots. The Burundi International, Irakoze Doniciano. Forwards up top, Trevor Ammon, Greg Hurst, and Romario Williams. Trevor's with the Republic this year. Greg Hurst is in New Mexico. And Romario is with Hartford Athletic, converted from the penalty spot to give Hartford the 1-0 win against El Paso Locomotive. Coach of the week, Eric Quill from New Mexico United. Bench, Alex Tambakis from New Mexico United. Brian Tamakis from Oakland Roots. Akeem Ward from Memphis 901. JCL Cedeno from Oakland. Aaron Malloy from Charleston. Andrew Booth from the Miami FC. And Nita Pickering from Memphis 901. So those are your teams of the week in the lower divisions. And obviously, we're going to be keeping up and catching up with a lot of these teams, a lot of these leagues, as they get everything rolling here in the 2024 season. 2024 season's now just underway, and it's off and running. More teams are going to be involved in USL League One this weekend than week 1, because also remember what League One is doing. They're trying to keep it out of the colder locales to get things started. So you're going to have teams with long road trips to kick things off. And a reminder out of League One, Santa Barbara Sky came out yesterday and said that they were going to postpone being in the league until 2025. So obviously not this year with everything kicking off, but they're going to be in League One in 2025 going forward. So that's the news out of lower divisions. Dermot Corrigan, we've talked about the Spanish government and the Spanish Football Federation and how much trouble they've been in recently. The Spanish government asked to suspend the acting president of the RFEF, Pedro Rocha, from all duties immediately. Legal action calling on Spain's Superior Sports Council and Administrative Sports Court to remove Rocha from his current role, and currently it's been taken by Miguel Galan, president of CNFA, the Centro Nacional de Entrenadores de Fútbol. Luis Rubiales had handpicked Rocha, you'll remember, as his temporary successor after Rubiales' behavior was scrutinized, made public, and basically that was pretty much it for Rubiales. Rubiales decided to name Rocha as his successor, and we see where that is. Per the Federation statutes, as president of its management committee, Rocha's only official current role is to run the elections to choose a new president. However, during his interregnum, he made decisions like hiring and firing senior Federation staff, extending the contract of Luis de la Fuente, and representing Spain in events ahead of the World Cup in 2030. So you've got that news out of Spain. Bayern is going to go without away fans in the Champions League quarterfinal. No traveling fans for their away leg after they accepted UEFA sanctions for the fans' use of pyrotechnics. Bayern had been punished following the use of them by the supporters in Rome when they faced Lazio last month. They received a ban because they were initially handed a suspended sentence by UEFA for the use of pyrotechnics during a match at Copenhagen in the group stage. Jan Christian Dresen said they've got to accept the punishment, fired deliberately on the field, directly endangering bystanders. This was such an explicit violation of the conditions of probation that an appeal is unfortunately futile. And Bayern qualified in the quarters after 3-1 on aggregate over Lazio. They get Friday's draw will determine who their next who their next opponent is. Ralph Rangnick left 3 players out of his squad for their March friendlies after they were involved in homophobic chanting following a Vienna derby with Austria Vienna and Rapid Vienna. Guido Burgstaller, Marco Groll, Nicholas Hedel, among those filmed signing homophobic chants after their side's win over Austria Vienna back on the February 26th. Videos of their actions appeared on social media, prompting apologies. Rangnick has now not selected the 3 who were last called up in October for Austria's matches against Slovakia and Turkey on the 23rd and the 26th. And we mentioned how a coach in Serie A headbutted an opposing player and got fired. Napoli and Aurelio De Laurentiis are facing a heavy fine after the club president pushed a TV cameraman while ending a player interview. Matteo Politano was talking to Sky Italia, and De Laurentiis claimed that his players were only authorized to speak with Sky's Gianluca Di Marzio and not his colleague Massimo Ugolini, who was doing the interview. However, Sky has authority to carry out pre-match interviews due to a TV rights package agreed with UEFA. Now UEFA looks to set to fine both Napoli and De Laurentiis due to a breach of the TV deal agreement. So keep an eye on that fine. Mia Fischel has undergone successful surgery after suffering an ACL injury last month. Suffered it in training camp, leading into the W Gold Cup. And official confirmed the procedure Monday, thanking both club and country for their unwavering support as she works her way back to fitness. So there's Mia Fischel and the latest news on her that we have going forward. I'm trying to see if there's any other stories or anything else that we missed, because obviously we'll go back tomorrow morning. We'll be back to a normal time, and we will break everything down when it comes to the rest of the week involving anybody but Atlanta United, and Atlanta United's 4-1 win for the season opening home match against New England. So we got Orlando coming up on Sunday night, 7:10 kick. 7 o'clock starts your pregame, and Apple TV gets their extra minute of stuff. And on Friday, we'll do weekend whip around, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully rather than later. And we'll break down everything in as many leagues as we can. Probably Major League Soccer, USL Championship, USL League One. We'll get all those. We'll get all that information and get it out there for you as we get rolling into the weekend. Let's see. Forgot about this once again. Don't forget the scarf from our friends to help out our friends, from our friends at Die Hard to help out our friends at the Marshall Islands. And this is 32 to me. You can email me, you can DM me, you can email the show, do whatever. $32 to help out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. All the info's on the Discord. You can fill out a form on there. And if you want Abby to deliver it to you, you can have it done that way. If you want it mailed to you, it's 32 and probably another 5. So 37 if you want to have it mailed to you, and it's 32 if you just want it taken care of, and you can see Abby in the Abstermobile. So once again, DM me, email me, reach out to me if you got my cell, and we can help out the last country here on the planet that is putting together a national soccer program. So we can do that and help out the Marshall Islands, because it's a story that's deeper than football, and we're going to continue to follow it every single day and as many ways as we possibly can, because, like I said, it's a great story, and it's a story for all of us. And we really, like I said, it's a story that needs to be told, and we're hanging with it, and I'm going to continue to tell it as many times as we can in as many different ways as we can. So this is just one way to help out our friends at the Marshall Islands, the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. So very, very cool stuff from them, as they've been a part of growing the game, and it's a chance to grow the game in a bunch of different places, and we get to see it happen right in front of us with all the activity that we have here, that is all a part of it. Let's see. So going back into the papers really quickly, seeing if I've missed anything this afternoon. There is kind of sort of an update on PSRA and Pro. We'll get into that as we go. We mentioned the Jared Branthwaite situation. Football Chiefs have had to put an emergency plan in place for a potential FA Cup final and championship playoff date clash if that happens at the same time. So they'll keep an eye on that. Manuel Akanji has told Trent Alexander-Arnold to keep his mouth shut until Liverpool wins a treble. I don't see that going well. Brentford players involved in a tunnel bust-up after their loss at Arsenal. Angry Stars confronting ref Rob Jones near the dressing rooms after the game, as they were furious that Kai Havertz wasn't sent off before scoring the late winner. Let's see. Athletic, Gabriel Martinelli expected to miss Arsenal's Champions League game against Porto due to a foot injury. And UEFA's disciplinary bodies opened proceedings after a homophobic sign allegedly held toward Brighton supporters by a fan in the Roma crowd during Thursday's Europa League tie. Avoiding the 3 and the 4 letter paper, as we always do, Liverpool open to selling Luis Diaz at the right price this summer, according to reports coming out of Colombia. Ben Brereton Diaz dropped from the Chilean national team after being told he needs to know how to speak Spanish. Interesting. Scottish papers, Real Hatate could be available for Celtics title showdown with Rangers at Ibrox on April 7. Mark Fotheringham has dramatically jumped into the frame for the Aberdeen job. Neil Lennon wants it, and you know he does. Neil Lennon absolutely wants it. And you know that Neil Lennon wants that gig. He absolutely wants that gig. So will he get the gig? I'm not so sure. But interesting to see where things are all laid out with all of this. So interesting stuff all across the board. That's right, PSRA and Pro. I was going to end on that. Let's see, PSRA and Pro. Trying to see what okay, so yesterday, and once again, this came out. This is from the PSRA, and their statement. Pro says if terms aren't ratified by March 11, Pro will withdraw certain terms and substitute them with the lesser terms of prior offers Pro has made. PSRA, a negotiating committee, has been ready to go back to the table with Pro and respectfully demand that Pro keeps their threats out of members' mailboxes, and it's negotiating the conversations with PSRA at the table. So that was a statement from PSRA yesterday. So we'll see what it looks like. More PSRA refs look like they're getting Triple C assignments. Still waiting for Drew Fisher, Michael Andrew Barwagon, and Elias Arfa getting assigned for the match tomorrow on Intermessi and Nashville SC. So you still have you still have PSRE refs getting Triple C assignments as we go forward. So, got to get to the bargaining table. You got to get everything all squared away when it comes to PSRA and Pro. Just get the deal done, get it done quickly, and we will talk about it all more tomorrow. Once again, reminder, it is 5:30 and 7:30 Brookwood and Parkview. Brookwood hosting Parkview, the Battle of Five Forks Trickham. That is going to be on the network. It'll be me and Jason. And I think I'm doing the girls' match. Jason's doing the boys' match. They're honoring Walker Zimmerman tonight. His family will be there. I think they're retiring his jersey, if not the number. So we'll keep an eye on that. Soccerdownhere.mixlr.com. Soccerdownhere.mixlr.com is the live site where we have all of our games, all of our matches, and all of our stuff. So it's going to be fun out there at Brookwood Community Stadium tonight. Thanking our friend Jason Dobson, the athletic director at Brookwood, early because it'll be a long night for him. And remember, after the matches, Atlanta Soccer tonight, Jason will have it on 92.9 The Game starting at 10 o'clock or after the Hawks. So that is where we are. Thanks for hanging out with us for Power Hour today. And we'll be back at it again 9:05 tomorrow. We'll talk about the rest of the week in Major League Soccer. Tyler Pilgrim joins us at 9:15. Dylan Butler joins us at 10. We'll go through the week that was for Major League Soccer, get you ready for the other two matches in Champions League. Anything else on your mind on a wall past Wednesday, it's all going to be there. And we'll get you ready for Wheeler and Riverwood on 6 and 8 on Wednesday night on the network. So for everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for hanging out with us here for an afternoon Power Hour. Enjoy your time and enjoy your friends and enjoy that strange yellow thing up in the sky while we can, because it's supposed to rain this weekend. No real surprise. So for everybody here at SDH, mucha plati, I'll play it safe. And since it's the end of the show, that means I get to do this. We'll do it again 9:05 tomorrow morning, but we got games 5:30, a little before for pregame this afternoon. Soccerdownhere.mixlr.com. Play it safe, everybody. We'll see you soon.